talking about consistency, two teams that lack a lot of it are the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. Not just consistency, they lack, I guess it's the ability to find ways to win. And
How's that comeback arc coming, John?
for what team?
You know which team. You
I'm
know
not sure what
your
you're
boys,
talking about.
your boys, the Denver Broncos. How's that arc you texted us about?
My boys?
Yeah, your boys.
I don't know what you're talking about,
You
dude.
know what I'm talking about. Don't divert. Come on now.
No idea what
You
you're
you
talking about.
texted us and I quote Broncos redemption arc. So how's that going? How's it looking?
Well, they lost to a very good team, the Titans, that got Ryan Tannehill back. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Best Amp. When it comes to sports betting, guys, all of us want to make the most money, want to get the best bang for our buck. And with the Best Amp app, what they'll provide you with is the best odds across the sports betting market. All you have to do is download their completely free app and sign up for any of the variety of sportsbooks out there so that you can give yourself an edge in the game. Be sure to bet like a pro with the Best Amp app. Not only is it free, but it provides so many other perks. Custom betting trackers. If you want to sell any picks, and there's no commission, royalty free. You get the entire cut. Thank you to Best Damn for supporting our show. And as always, let's get back to it. I want to start off with the Las Vegas Raiders.
All right, let's start off.
If I were to tell you, BCAP, 2 months ago, the Las Vegas Raiders would start the season 2-7, what would your initial reaction been?
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either
Yeah.
because I thought the Raiders were going to be like a 7 or 8 win team,
I
but
should
I
I
did
should
not
I,
expect them to be this bad.
I should have said to quote the great Nathan Diaz. I can't say the full thing, but I'm not surprised, mother. You know what? But yeah, but I I'm not. I wasn't a big believer in Josh McDaniels. I'm sorry. I was willing to see it to give him the next shot, to see if he could fix it, but I wasn't a believer. I'm not a big believer in Derek Carr. I love his passion, and we
Can we
saw
talk
that.
about what just happened on Sunday?
Yeah, let's talk about what happened on
So
Sunday.
I think all of us went in with the expectation Sam Ellinger would be the starting quarterback. And when Jeff Saturday came in, it was sure this was going to be the worst team in football. The Colts may not win a game for the rest of the season. They may finish 2-15 and get the first overall pick. But no, Matt Ryan plays, 37 years old, coming off of injury, and Jonathan Taylor comes back. And they run all over the Las Vegas Raiders. It took them a while to get Devontae Adams going. In the first half, the only player that really was, or in the first quarter, making a difference on the offense was Josh Jacobs. And then defensively, I mean, the entire team fell apart. They had 10 penalties, they struggled to tackle, and you could just tell, BCAP, in the locker room, there's not collective buy-in. Matt Ryan, this game, went on a 39-yard run. Let that sink in for a moment. Jonathan Taylor, who has struggled for basically the last 8-9 weeks with injury, wasn't fully 100% with his ankle, goes off, and we know what Jonathan Taylor is capable of. The Raiders didn't even play that bad of a game. You saw Devontae Adams had a monster performance because he got going at the end. Ultimately, they missed opportunities. Michael Pittman has a crucial fumble, ball's in the open space, and he somehow, it fumbles 10 yards behind him, and he still ends up recovering it. It's plays like that, opportunities, they're going to happen once or twice a game that decide wins and losses. And when I look at this Raiders team, they are better than 2-7. But the issue here is not the fact they're struggling to win games. The issue is they have a divided locker room. And it befuddles me that this offseason, they add in the Patriots GM, the former one, and the Patriots former offensive coordinator. They have all these ex-Patriots. You would think the Raiders would have a stronger locker room, given how much they overcame last year. And yet it's a divided one. I said this offseason was a bad one for the Raiders. And the one player I haven't talked about who's been another no-show is Chandler Jones. Where's Chandler Jones been this year? I have not seen him. And better yet, I can't even listen to him on a press conference or anything. I look at this Raiders defense, it's Max Crosby and basically nothing else. He was the only player yesterday to get a sack against one of the worst offensive lines in football. And not exactly the most mobile quarterback under center either. So you look at this Raiders team in a whole. And Derek Carr to the game is literally crying. That's how frustrated he is with the simple fact they can't win games. And I have to say, I love Derek Carr's mentality. I said he was literally crying. That's how much he cares about this franchise. And whether or not you think he's this good or that good as a quarterback, at the end of the day, Derek Carr is a true leader. And that's what surprises me so much about this. The fact that in spite of his leadership, how much he wants to win, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams and how good this team is on paper, they can't find ways to beat Jeff Saturday, who a week ago was on his couch playing fantasy football.
Well, I think he was on air filming First Take, but that's not the
He was
here nor
doing
there.
both.
Yeah. Chandler Jones, I mean, just to read off his stats for the season, 19 total tackles and half a sack.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Best Amp. When it comes to sports betting, guys, all of us want to make the most money, want to get the best bang for our buck. And with the Best Amp app, what they'll provide you with is the best odds across the sports betting market. All you have to do is download their completely free app and sign up for any of the variety of sports books out there so that you can give yourself an edge in the game. Be sure to bet like a pro with the Best Amp app. Not only is it free, but it provides so many other perks. Custom betting trackers. If you want to sell any picks, and there's no commission, royalty free. You get the entire cut. Thank you to Best Amp for supporting our show. And as always, let's get back to it.
I mean, we should say, I guess, but this is neither here nor there because even when these two guys were healthy, they still weren't, they weren't winning much game. Darren Waller and Hunter Renfro, but they still weren't winning much games. And Renfro, even when he was in the lineup and healthy, he wasn't getting targeted as much as last year. But to go off of what you finished with is, you believe in Derek Carr and you think he's a great leader, and I think he is a very good leader. I love his passion. I love that energy, the raw emotion. But this is what he said, just two quotes in the press conference, and just pick up on the subtleness, the subtle quote, what some of us are doing to be at practice. What I feel about losing, I wish everybody felt that way. He's straight up saying there's people on this team that they're fine with just collecting their check and going home. And that's not okay. So, yeah, it's just gonna it's a tough go for these Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, yeah, I don't know how to fix it really. I mean, Josh McDaniels is not really going to be the guy. I'm sorry. He's going to be out in the next, probably midway next year if they don't figure it out.
You think McDaniel survived? I have to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
In 2018, Mark Davis signs John Gruden to a 10-year, $100 million contract.
Fully
and
guaranteed.
Not even halfway, he was guaranteed buying him out.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty heavy one at that they had to pay. You think Josh McDaniels is going to survive this season? Because there has to be someone here that takes the hit.
I'm just not I understand that. I'm never a fan of coaches getting fired after their first year. Yeah, I do think he can last the year. I mean, we've seen the first one the only one that I can think of that got fired in their first year recently, I think was Steve Wilkes for the Arizona Cardinals with that Josh Rosen year. And they kicked him out the door, got Kyler Murray and got Cliff Kingsbury. So yes, I do think he survives. But I don't know how long he survives the year after. That's really where it's going to, because I think they're going to probably say, okay, Josh, Darren Waller was injured all season. Hunter Renfro went down. Chandler Jones was a terrible. Yeah, Chandler Jones was a terrible signing. He didn't show up for crap. We're going to try and figure some things out in the offseason. We're going to give you one last shot. But if you don't get this thing rolling this year, I mean, we're paying a lot of money. You're going to have to kick the door. And I think Derek Carr might be on his way out as well with him. Not because it's Derek Carr's fault, but because they're going to start going into a rebuild mode. I could see Devontae Adams probably out the door too. I mean, they could get some really good draft capital for these players. I mean, Josh Jacobs, well, actually, they declined his fifth-year option, so he's going to be but they could franchise tag him if they wanted to. So Devontae, Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Max Crosby, those are some really good pieces that you can trade away to get a lot of draft capital. So the future could look bright if done right.
You have to be careful, though, because you look at the Panthers. If you trade all those players, no one's going to want to coach for you. If they come into a situation where it's just devoid of talent,
somebody's gonna coach.
You want to get.
You won't get a high. You won't get. You might. I mean, Las Vegas is a high market. They might be able to convince them with the money side. I don't think they're going to trade everybody. I should take that. I think Derek Carr would be gone. They might keep Devontae, but Devontae might force his way out because he's not about trying to be on a rebuild. Darren Waller's been connected to trade rumors all season, basically. Josh Jacobs didn't. They didn't accept it. Max Crosby, they probably keep Max Crosby. I would say Crosby would stay. There would be somebody out there that would take that job, though. And it's not. I don't know if it's even about the next coach. It might be the coach after, where they actually, start getting a build together.
Do you want me to list off to you how poorly this team drafted over the last 4 years?
Probably not that good.
Well, clearly, I think most of us off the top of our heads can recollect the 2019 draft class. So I think all of us can kind of think back to when the Raiders moved Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, and they went to this total rebuild. And in 2019 BCAP, they got 3 first-round draft picks.
Yes.
Clyde Farrell, 4th overall, Josh Jacobs, 24th, and Jonathan Abram, 27th. So Farrell is still on the team. He was a massive reach at number 4, but he hasn't basically played in 2 years. He's a reserve. Josh Jacobs is a really good running back, but running backs in the first round are not very valuable. And Jonathan Abrams on the Packers practice squad. You take it to the next step in 2020. You take Henry Ruggs, number 12, and Damon Arnett, number 19. I'm going to list off to you a couple of players that went after Henry Ruggs, number 12, and Damon Arnett. Tristan Wirfs at number 13, Justin Jefferson at number 22, Brandon Ayuk at number 25, and T. Higgins at number 33. Just a few receivers. Then in 2021, they take Alex Leatherwood in the first round. Number 17, just like Clinton Farrell, a massive reach. He's currently on the Bears as a backup tackle. And then in 2022, they trade their first round pick and their second pick. They go all in on this team. And, wait, they're the worst team in their division and their conference, nearly. And,
See, while you're reading that stuff on, John, one thing that just clicks to me is that that's another feather in Josh McDaniel's cap, that he has an argument where he's like, I didn't draft this team. I mean, but that was all John Gruden's drafting. I didn't do this, so that's another, argument he can make about, listen, just give me, another shot where I can, at least draft some guys that I like. But things are still not looking good for the Las Vegas Raiders,